Hi, how's it going? Hope you're well. Today we're going to be concluding the creation of the graphics pipeline. I realize I'm going to try to keep this a little shorter. I realize sometimes I say that and then I just literally talk through the code line by line. I know that's annoying, so this will be quicker. Feel free to pause the video at any point to check this out in more detail or grab the code off GitHub. It's in the description. Okay, so one step we're going to need is we're going to need to create a render pass. Now the name render pass is a little misleading. When I hear render pass, I think of the full set of instructions used to draw a frame. That's actually something different, which we'll be looking at in a future video. Here in Vulkan, a render pass is really a description of all of the frame buffer attachments which are being affected by a render operation. In our case, it's just the color buffer. We're not doing any depth or stencil stuff. I guess the really important thing to note here are these states over here. So when we load something in, we're going to be clearing everything which was there previously. We are going to be storing new information, so there are other options to not store, for instance. And see here for stencil, we're not going to be doing any stencil stuff, so there's this don't care option, which is, when we get an image, we don't really care what state that is or what layout that is in initially, but by the end of the frame, by the end of the render, we want it to be something that we can present. So that's what we've set here. Then we continue along and we need to create this thing called a reference to that color attachment. Then we have something called a subpass. So if we have a bunch of effects, we might be kind of doing a bunch of sub operations within a single render pass. In this case, we're just doing one, but we do need to specify a subpass. And we are just attaching the color. A note here, if we had more than one attachment, then we would have a vertex or array of attachments, and the index of each attachment within that array would match the index of like the layout location in the shader. So here we have for the output is layout location 1 would be our color attachment, which we are going to put on the screen. Okay, then we go through and create the render pass. And this render pass will be stored as a member variable. So we will create a variable for it up above, up here. And while we're at it, we can create a member variable to store the graphics pipeline, because we're going to be creating that in this video. So we'll go down to the graphics pipeline creation. In the last video, we went through this sort of stuff and we got up to just creating the, where was it? The pipeline layout. Okay, but now we're going to do the actual pipeline. So as you can see in this code, we are really just using stuff which we defined above and in the last video. We just need to pass all of that info in, as well as our render pass, which we created above. And yeah, just a note here, we have this base pipeline handle. So it's the kind of thing like a pipeline can inherit from another pipeline. So for instance, if I have a window open and then I minimize it, well, that kind of destroys that whole graphics pipeline thing. Or if I change the size of the window, that destroys the whole graphics pipeline and I need to recreate it. And in order to speed that up, I can inherit some properties from another pipeline. So what we have here when we go to create the graphics pipeline is we pass in our device, something called a pipeline cache. So again, if we're recreating pipelines on the fly, we have the option, it's slightly more advanced, we have the option to cache some of that data for quick retrieval. But we're not caching anything for this pipeline, so we're setting that to the null handle. This line will actually create several of them at once. In this case, we only want to create one. We have our allocator, and yeah, this is just the standard process. So we've created everything, and then what I forgot to mention, of course, in the last video, I forgot to mention we also need to destroy these things. So we'll do that in one. We'll destroy our pipeline, its layout, and the render pass. Anyway, okay, so that was it for now. Code is in the GitHub repository. Grab that, play around with it, and yeah, see you next time. All right, bye.